Welcome to the Hoop Threads podcast. Here with another episode, just kind of recapping a really good event that I just got back from on the National Prep Showcase up in Connecticut. So here with me, I have Dylan Thayer from NERR that not only put on the event but also covered it from a scouting perspective. So Dylan, how are we feeling today?
Doing good, been a busy week, busy weekend, but ready to get right into it.
When it comes to scouting, especially the event that you're working, the stress of running the event comes off, but then you got to do all the write-ups and stuff afterwards. So I'm
Yeah.
sure you're still busy on those like I am here too. But just real quick,
Mhm.
kind of tell the people how you got to the spot that you're in now with NERR, and then we'll kind of get into the event itself.
Yeah. I actually got my start in this specific space at this event 2 years ago. I had originally been with Zero Gravity as an intern, and they were looking for bodies to come work this event. So made the way down. I was selling tickets, doing coaches check-in, media check-in, stuff like that. Um, I really just, took initiative to put myself out there, and work hard and just show people that I really wanted to work in basketball. So I kind of stuck on for the rest of the um, NPC series, what we call it, National Prep Championship Series. From there, I got brought into the New England Recruiting Report, started taking it over as the director of operations, and here we are.
So let's talk about, this event specifically, like you said, is the beginning of that kind of series, kind of kicks off the season in the prep school world. What makes this event special?
Well, so we run four total events in the National Prep Championship Series. This one, National Prep Showcase. A couple weeks we got the Scholar Round Ball up in Worcester at Holy Cross. After that, we run a sister event to the Hoop Hall Classic called the Hoop Hall Prep Showcase. That'll be at American International College. And then the National Prep Championship is in March, where it's the final of everything. Um, this one itself is the only one that has one court going. All the other ones we run two courts, so it's a lot easier to manage for me. Just having one court to focus on. But Albertus itself, it has that balcony thing that everyone was in, and we kind of sectioned it off to NBA guys, college coaches, media guys. So it just adds a little, exclusivity to it. Um, and the talent in there is always top tier. So it's one of the best events. A lot of people will say that, and it's been dubbed the unofficial kickoff to the prep school season for over a decade now, and it feels like it keeps getting better. So I love going down there.
Absolutely, man. I thought it was a really unique kind of evaluation setting for me as someone that's more in the high school space for the most part. Just like the collection of teams playing different styles, seeing a new crop of athletes, at least new to me. And how hard the kids are playing kind of despite the score, kind of from end to end was
Mhm.
really kind of refreshing for me to see. Um, so yeah, man, really appreciate you having me, appreciate the hospitality. And with that,
Of course.
let's get into it. So, a team that surprised me. Um, I like. I actually know one of their coaches, Kai Feldman, from when he was at Syracuse, because we were there at the same time when he was a player. Um, they don't really, to me, pass the airport test. You know what I mean? They're just a bunch of guys that
Mhm.
really play with a lot of moxie, a lot of grit. They move the ball really well. They play a lot of guards kind of at the same time. And everybody kind of gets their own within the flow of the offense, which I thought was really cool. Defensively, I think they're um, in gaps well, and they just, everything for them just kind of stops and starts with the Cincinnati commit. I'm blanking on his name right now, but
Eshawn Tillery.
yeah, Keyshawn Tillery, man. He was getting into the paint and just really dynamic. Kind of obviously the straw that stirs the drink, but they're the new team that was really kind of the most impressive to me. What do you got for this one?
So well, New Hampton in terms of of the whole prep championship itself right now is kind of considered the favorite. So seeing them this weekend and just the whole wealth of talent that they have and how well they've all just they've been together for a while. Couple guys that have only been there for 2 years, but Mason, Blackwood, and Keyshawn have been there for three together, and they're obviously like two of the top guys on the team. So just seeing how that's came together and they've continued to just grow and improve is very impressive. But a team for me that really jumped out at me, it was actually the last game on Saturday, which went a little late, so I'm not sure if you got to see them or not, but it was the
Yeah.
Darrow School out of New York. They're up in our area. I just hadn't got a chance to see them yet this year, and I've heard really good things. But they came out right right off the tip. It was just all gas, no brakes. Everybody's just full court guarding, getting out in transition, and just really pushing the pace. And they have like a really well balanced team. Hunter Thayer from I might be butchering that name from New Zealand was really good. Got a lot of upside to like 6'4" guard wing prototype. The kid Hasey Maben, he's from that area in New York, played at Green Tech, I believe. He's another really good one. His dad played Division I basketball, has got it in his bloodlines. Played really well for them. I like Tashawn Steele. He's brings a winning pedigree to the team. He's won two straight not national, two straight state championships at Worcester North. They hadn't lost a game in over 2 years. So he's got experience with them, and he actually brought an Elijah Christopher along with him. He's a 2027 who's got some upside at the guard spot. And then they got some other guys like Ibrahim Gatti at the big. He's got some D1 offers. He's good presence inside. The Delgado twins out of Florida, they look pretty good. Then guys like Jordan Brown, they're very well balanced and they look good. Um, Another one, I don't know if they truly surprise me in the sense of the word, but Hargrave, they look really good this year. A little bit better than what I had expected, and they've got like 7 or 8 guys that really contribute some numbers each game. So I think that when we get to March and we start closing in on the prep championship, they might be a team that's up there as well.
DMV native Shane Pendergrass, man. Love to hear that. Love to see it. Next one we're gonna talk about some new names that popped. To me, the first one was CJ Stinson, Western Reserve Academy, was pretty good on the ball and off of it. Just knew where the ball needed to go most of the time. Good finisher in the paint. Got his guys going in transition. Was pretty dynamic on both ends for me. Lucas Murillo, which I'm sure that that you kind of initially had on yours as well. Really good scorer. Had an incredible game where he had it was like 34, 8 and 6 or something like that. Was shooting the ball well, getting to the rim. He's not overly athletic or quick, but he kind of just gets to his
Mhm.
spots. Can't really like the handle is good, not great. But again, he just gets to his spot somehow, doesn't really turn the ball over, passed out of some bad shots and found some guys, and left his feet for some passes, which sometimes isn't great, but at his size, he has more time to come down and kind of make those reads. So really like seeing him. And then the last one I had this one for was Jay Chapman from Blair. Just getting paint touches and just being super aggressive on the ball, just getting to the rim, hitting shots from the perimeter. They were playing a team that, talent wise, I don't think was on the same level, but like he just really got after it at both ends. So kind of playing with that heart and that energy, kind of had me tapped in for sure. So what do you have for this one?
Um, to start off, I really like Jalen Haynes from Sunrise Christian. I believe he's from Iowa. But he almost put up a triple double in their first game. I forget what the exact stat line was, but he had a double double and then like 7 assists. And just really contributing in all facets. He's a talented scorer. He's like 6'4" shooting guard. So he's got size at the position. Lots to like there. Timo George from IMG. He looked pretty good. Big body forward that, just uses his size really well to get to the rim. He made some good plays on defense, blocking shots, and he's actually got a little shooting to him. So he did I don't know if he knocked down any shots this weekend from what I saw, but I've watched some film on him and it looks like he's got a nice shot, especially, off the catch and just getting himself open. Um, the kid from Massanutten, Pangonis, I hope I
Panayotis
said that right.
Pagonis. Panayotis Pagonis. Yeah.
Paniotis. There
Yeah.
we go. He he looked really good. The first day he had like 13 and 9, and then the second day he just put on a clinic. He had 33, I believe. He shot the ball 4 for 13 from three, which is, all right, but his mid-range was good, especially off the dribble, and he got to the rim. He's got some size to him, so that's another guy to like at the wing spot. And then I don't know if I'd necessarily consider this guy a new name to me. I had seen him in September down at our Frostoff Elite 75 event. It's where we bring out all the top underclassmen up in New England and New York area. But Kamari White, he's from Harlem. He's at Vermont Academy now.
Mhm.
He looks really good. He's only a sophomore. I think he averaged close to 20 points over the weekend. He's got some advanced skills for his age. He's gets really physical, can play above the rim a little bit, and he's kind of just got that like dog in him. So that I think he's got a lot of upside to like and worth monitoring moving forward.
Yeah, no, 100%. Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off there if you had another one, but yeah, I agree with a lot of those names for sure. What was your favorite individual matchup this weekend? I'll let you start that one off.
Individual matchup,
Yeah.
um, like team on team, player on player, does it matter? Anthony Thompson and Mason Blackwood, if we're going individually, two highly ranked guys. Blackwood's going to Penn State. Thompson's in the top 10. They kind of went head to head, guarding each other, in a pretty good game. But it was also a rematch of the Final Four, the National Prep Championship. And that game back in March, I know Western Reserve looks a lot different this year, but that was a really close one where New Hampton had a lot of opportunities to win the game and narrowly lost. So seeing, Anthony Thompson as a new face for the team and to the event, kind of just go right at Mason Blackwood. I think he shot 6 for 10 in that game from three and he had a nice drive right on Blackwood where he scored at the rim. So yeah, that would probably be my top matchup that I saw.
Well, we just spoke on Anthony Thompson, so that rolls right into my next question pretty well. Favorite players to watch. So I'm a bit biased. I interviewed him about a year ago and really love like his intangibles. I think he's added some stuff on the ball as far as improving his handle to get to his spots pretty efficiently and just kind of handle without turning it over and without having it too high for someone to steal it to like just while he's processing the plays and kind of moving through stuff. Obviously the shooting's really high level. I think his passing is pretty underrated, and I think once he kind of gets more accustomed with his team and they understand when to cut and when to kind of break away from the offense to just make a play late at the end of the shot clock, I think that'll kind of come to the light a little bit more. The other two are for me are Deron Rippey Jr. from Blair. He's just so much fun to watch. Just gets into gaps incredibly fast, really quick, really aggressive at both ends of the floor. Um, really good on ball defender. The jumper looks really good in catch and shoot looks when he can kind of just step into it. I think finding the IQ to kind of create off the bounce, but kind of take those shots more on balance, I think will be important to like his next step in his progression. But the playmaking is really good there as well, and he's been playing with a lot of those guys on the team for a while, not just on the high school team, but also in AAU. And then the last one is Emmanuel Conga from Mount Zion Prep. Man, he just plays with so much joy, and he plays like someone that like this is their first time playing basketball, and he loves it and he wants to play it again. Like he had a game with over 20 rebounds and just
Mhm.
plays so hard at both ends of the floor, and just kind of that energy is just kind of contagious with that Mount Zion team. I think a Mount Zion team that's going to be really good this year and has a shot to win the national championship just because of their size, positionally, um, as well as just their depth kind of coming off the bench. I mean, him and Favor in the same front court's pretty difficult to stop. So really always love watching Congo play. So what do you got for this one?
Um, Kind of piggybacking off the Mount Zion thing, Chris Jeffrey, I mean, man, that kid is so good. Um, I I became a big fan of him last year, watching him throughout the winter, and this year he just came in and he just, just kept elevating his game. He's really got that like New York City toughness to him, like that, that prototypical New York City guard that a lot of people have came to know and love. He's like just really physical, aggressive, attacks gaps, just gets right downhill to the rim. He's got a lot of speed to him. Um, Plays like hard-nosed defense on ball. He's great. And another one, I've watched this kid throughout the years now, 2 years plus maybe. Amir Jenkins on Worcester Academy. He came in on Sunday morning, and this was really his like introduction to this setting. He's another kid that was on Worcester North, that team I had mentioned earlier that hadn't lost in 2 years. He was really the lifeblood of the team, like point guard. But he came in and he just like he had like 14 points in the first X amount of minutes. He was just going off. He's wicked talented. I think he's going to be a national name in the very, very soon. Wicked fast, plays with pace. He's got a great handle. Creates for others very well. He made like a crazy over his back pass to the center who just threw down a crazy dunk. Um, there's some people question his shooting. I've seen him shoot the ball really well. In this particular game, his team won by 30 points, and every time he would even kind of just set himself to get into a shooting stance, and the defender would close out on him. He all he had to do was just step to the side and go right down the lane to get to the rim. So I don't really think this is the right game to try to judge his shooting off of. But yeah, I honestly love watching him play. So seeing him succeed in this setting was awesome.
Cool. Next one we got best playmakers. I'm gonna start this one off. I feel like we might have some overlap this with some of the names, but Shudo Sakihama on St. Thomas More, man. Um he had I think either a 10-1 or 11-1 assist to turnover ratio in their first game. And I think it was still like 6 or something to 2. Just doesn't really turn the ball over. Really kind of sees the floor incredibly well. And I think as far as passers go, when I evaluate them, if they're passing guys open, like they're passing to where the guy's going to be because they want them to go to that specific spot, whether that's in transition or kind of coming out to the corner for a three. I think he's kind of like really important to what they do, even though, he's a shorter guy and, a lot of people caught him out as a result of that. And then another guy, Kayshawn Tillery, that we spoke on earlier, just the way that he's able to draw the defense to him and kind of create easy scoring opportunities for teammates was really impressive. And just the way that he understands after he's scored like 3 or 4 in a row that guys are really going to be keyed in on him and kind of just drawing that help defender once he gets past his guy. to create advantage opportunities was really important. So, what do you got for this one?
I'm gonna start off with Warren Keel on Putnam. Super talented guard. He's personally to me, he's been more of a known as a scorer, but he kind of flashed in this setting as a passer. He had like 6 assists in the first game. I don't really think he turned the ball over either. He's another guy that, he got guys open with his passes, but also just, he ran the offense, made the right plays when he had to. He's got a super good handle to create and get other people open, drawing in the defense. So I think he did really well at that in this setting. Um, Tommy Vaughn from Phelps, kind of the same thing. Um, really good handle, keeps it low, away from the defense. Again, like drew in some defenders, got his guys open, made some passes in transition that led to buckets, and he actually almost had a triple double at the point guard spot, 12, 9, and 9, like just missed it. He When I put out my stock risers from the event, he was definitely in there. I think he did really well. Um, another another one is AJ Lopes from Bridgeton. He's from my area or my state, I should say, from Wareham, Mass. Won some state championships there. He's doing a post grad year at Bridgeton. He looked really good in this setting. It's like a D2 prospect. Just again, like getting guys open, especially in transition. Just getting the ball in, seeing a guy right away, and just moving it and getting them that open look, and finding guys just cutting right down the court. So he's definitely going to be a guy to watch for that Bridgeton team this year.
One that I wanted to add to was Jalen Harper from that was from Newman School in Boston, Massachusetts. Philly kid, 6'3", really dynamic kind of scorer, but also playmaker off the bounce. Had a bunch of really nice kind of just going across the lane, finding guys. I really wish that there was a better way to measure assists and playmaking because sometimes, they make the perfect read and the guy that just misses the shot or, steps out of bounds or something like that. And we don't really account for like that playmaking impact that they have. So, finished with 4 assists in that game, at least off my tally, and could have been more for sure. So just want to shout him out real quick. Next question, kind of moving towards the best bigs. So what do you have for this one, Dylan?
Best bigs, I got to go back to Bridgeton. Chekna he's from Mali. He might be the biggest winner of the weekend, honestly. He came in with, no really reported recruitment from what I've heard, and he kind of just established himself as a scholarship player. Um, Really big body inside. He was racking up boards like nothing. He had a 28 and 22 game on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Like I don't even know. Every time he got the ball inside, he was just using his body, backing guys down, getting right to the rim. He was really efficient. Got to the line a bunch, just absorbing contact, finishing right through it, playing above the rim. Man, if you're looking for a big in 2025, that's a guy to check out. Um, Chris Burden from South Kent. I'm blanking on where he's originally from, but 6'10". He's really athletic. He plays above the rim as well. Can put the ball on the floor a little bit and knock down some mid ranges. He's got some post touch to him. And he's a 2026, so another name to watch moving forward. The kid from Sunrise, Sim Martin Sadi. Sorry if it's not
Baby
right, but
Jokic, man.
yeah, baby Jokic, exactly. Like playmaking big. He was shooting from three, post touch, good, you know, did well at catching the ball and on entry passes. Wicked athletic. He's going to Drake, so that that'll be another name to watch. Sunrise has got that connection to Drake and Kevin Overton. Now he's at Texas Tech. It's the first name that comes to mind when I think of that. Um, and then these three guys I kind of loop into the same category. Not necessarily in terms of their skill sets all kind of vary, but they all play for the same AAU program. Uh, Big Ben at Putnam, Ben Ahmed going to Miami. He's just he's a consistent double-double, and his interior scoring is like I don't know if anyone can match up with him at this event. He's gonna get his 15 and 10 every time he's on the court. Um, and then Collins Onyejaka from Newman.
Mhm.
He's just continued to get better. Fran McCaffrey was watching on from Iowa and offered him after the game, which he's a national name right now. He's in like the top 75, top 80 on 247. Really good shot blocker and rim runner. And he's kind of I've seen him. He didn't really do it in this setting, but I've seen him put the ball on the floor a little bit and use his body to get to the rim. That's something to watch. And then Theo Adema at Cushing. Man, this kid is this kid is really good. He's a sophomore. He's another kid that was at our Frosh event back in September, and you could tell there like, he's going to be another national team for Team New England. It's a program that they all came into the United States with. He, man, like this kid has put on a lot of muscle and just worked on his body and the growth from last year. I think he got into the United States like July of 2023 and just the way that he's elevated his game since then is I don't know if anyone really matches up with that in terms of just the way they've improved from what I've seen. Um, and he didn't do it in his one game here, but I've actually seen him stretch the floor from three um, pretty consistently. So once that like actually becomes a factor into his game and big games like this, it's going to be hard to keep up with him. Once the 2027 rankings come out, I think you're going to see his name in there.
Mm. Yeah, definitely a couple names that I had there too. Scylla, the one thing that really stood out to me too was that those above the break threes, he's a lefty, but just he was ready to shoot them, and he cashed out I think three in one game. That was in that big rebounding game. I believe it was on Saturday, like you mentioned. So my for this one, Zach Scherler from Vermont Academy. Doesn't do anything like spectacularly great, but is in the right spot, pretty good footwork, can finish around the basket, can knock down. I think he hit a couple free throws. I don't remember him seeing him shoot a jumper, so I can't really speak on that portion of it. Academic
Hmm.
prospect that just doesn't really make a ton of mistakes. Good size at 6'9", 6'10", that, rebound the basketball, won't follow a ton. Just checks a lot of boxes for like a low major, high academic setting. Um, then the other one for this one for me was Scylla, that we did speak on already. So I think we'll just move on from that question, move on to the our favorite shooters from the event. So for me, I already kind of touched on him before, but Anthony Thompson, just the way that he's able to get into his shot, sometimes looks a little bit awkward, but it's really hard to get a good contest on him, unless you really get underneath him. Because he just has the wingspan. I think it's a plus 4 or 5, at least 5 or 6 inch wingspan, on his shot, and he's 6'8" as well. So, just the way that he's able to score from the mid range, beat closeouts on the perimeter, and just like even though the closeout should bother him more than it does, he's still able to lace the three over the defender. And then the other one that I have for this one was Providence commit Jalen Harrell from Cats. Um, can't remember what he finished from the event with, but he had four threes in that late game on the last day on Sunday.
Hmm.
Just a really confident shooter that kind of stays within himself. Does a lot of other different things. I wouldn't label him a shooter per se, but that portion of his game looks pretty smooth. And isn't really affected by the defense as much there. So what do you got for this one, Dome?
Well, Jalen Harrell, I've seen him a bunch, and I can kind of echo what you just said. He does not lack confidence. That kid. he'll go out there and he'll give it right to whoever is guarding him. He'll smack you right in the mouth with his scoring power. Um, Andrew Urasevich committed to Lehigh from NMH. Their coach had called me back in like June or July, like over the summer, and was like, "You gotta check this kid out. He's one of the best shooters around, especially in the New England class of 2025." And this was actually my first time really seeing him like in depth and watching. He was at the knapsack scholastic period back in June, but there's three courts going. It's hard to kind of zero in on someone. He shot he shot a ton of threes. I want to say he was close to like 20 in the game or something like that. Like he shot a ton of threes, but his shot was really smooth and he doesn't need a lot of space to get it off. His release is like really consistent and he does it really quick too. He doesn't like he can just, get the ball, one dribble, pull up right on someone. He had 25 in the game, and at the end of that game, he almost hit a full court shot to tie it up or to win the game. They were down two. It was like I think the refs had blown it dead. The shot didn't go in, but man, it was like it rattled right around. That was kind of crazy. Um, Another one, London Jemison, going to Alabama at from St. Thomas More. He's just every year continued to elevate as a shooter. A little fun fact for in 2023 in EYBL play, he shot 25% from three. And then this past year, he got that up to 37%. And from talking to his coaches and people around him this year with St. Thomas More so far, they've played, a handful of games but he's shot over 40%. And so the fact that he's added that as, a real threat to his game has been really impressive. And there's so much upside to like in this kid, man. Like 6'7" wings, versatile, can guard multiple positions, plays above the rim. And now he's shooting it consistently from outside, man. Like he's gonna be a problem.
Mhm. For sure. And it's just one of, a couple different skill sets that he brings to the table, but will be a good fit in with Coach Oates' offense down there in Alabama. Let's move on to the best defenders that we kind of saw from the event. So for me, this one, I think this is definitely biased, but Tim Walker from South Kent, originally from the DMV, has transferred a couple times and looks good in his new environment with South Kent. On the ball, just not doing too much. Defensively, he's really disruptive on the ball, and I think he's a pretty good off-ball defender as well. That kind of stays home without fouling and kind of forces turnovers without reaching in and stuff and kind of getting in that foul trouble to take him off the floor. Ray from Mass Nutton, another bias pick, but just has like the wingspan and like the body to kind of body up with the bigs, get a lot of strips around the basket, a couple blocks, forces some tough shots on the perimeter. And I think does a really good job of staying in front. That's kind of his calling card, I think, and his identity to this point, even though he's added a lot of the other offensive skills. Really high ceiling there. And Timmy Bolin from Newman. A lot of love for Newman on this podcast, but man, they
That's a
got a
good
good
one.
team.
Yeah.
Timmy was just everywhere. Just I hate to call the white guy sneaky athletic, but it's really what it is. Just had a bunch of blocks coming from behind, when it wasn't even his man at the rim and just kind of getting the guys going in transition. Defensively can slide them puppies too and stay in front of some guards on the perimeter. Plays really hard, had a play late in the second half where he he dove from like the 3-point line to like half court to get a loose ball. Love seeing that energy and that intensity. Thought that he really got a bunch of key stops that led Newman to their win. And I thought he was really important to kind of like that momentum and just kind of flipping the game back in their favor, if that makes sense. So let's
Yeah.
hear you talk about some guys that were guarding.
Yeah, Timmy Bolin's a good one. That kid is like really gritty, very high motor. He's everywhere and he gets really physical. So I like that pick a lot. Um, I'm gonna kind of go back to Amir Jenkins here. This kid can guard 94 feet, and his lateral quickness, his footwork, like he's got everything. Forces steals, he's in lanes, he's all over his man. So he gave them trouble against OSL in their game. He was just right on the ball once it got into play. And like I said, just flying everywhere and draped all over his man. Another one, Jordan Tillery from IMG, the VCU commit. I had never seen him play before. And in their Saturday, I think it was Saturday, maybe Friday, their first outing against New Hampton, he had 5 steals. He was just kind of all over the place, jumping passes, going right down in transition, score. But again, playing with a really high motor, getting down and dirty, and just physical and sacrificing his body to try to force a turnover, dive for a loose ball. That's stuff that coaches love to see. And he's going to VCU, so he's got to be a pretty good player. So
Mm, gotcha. Okay. Next one, man. Let's talk about, two more questions and we'll get you out of here. Really appreciate the time.
of
Some
course, thank you for
intriguing,
having me.
yeah, some intriguing guys that felt like I need to see more. This one is probably a bigger list for me than it was for you. But for me, Leo Curtis on Cats kind of came in pretty highly regarded as just like a big wing that does a little bit of everything. And I don't really think he's mastered any one thing as like a signature skill. Kind of reminds me of Pokuševski that played in the league. I think it was 2 years ago for the
Mhm.
Thunder. Just as, really long, kind of big, a little awkward prospect that can get to the rim and kind of finish around the basket just because of his height and length. He can score a bit from the perimeter as far as hitting some open shots. Can get to some rebounds and loose balls pretty easily because of that size and that length. Um, just want to see what it looks like toward the end of the year when I think the team is kind of gelled a bit more and roles are a bit more defined, just to see kind of what he brings to the table. But obviously has a lot of, measurables that are intriguing. And then I do not know how to pronounce his last name, but Anya Giacca from Newman.
Anya Xhaka,
Anna Xhaka. There we go. From Newman.
close enough.
Just a big body that does a lot of different things for him. Like plays really hard, has like the intangibles, gets to a lot of loose balls and rebounds in the paint, guards and, can score, 15 feet and in pretty comfortably. Really interested to see, like if the shooting piece of it is real as far as, from 18 feet or so and in, and then just kind of from beyond that. Don't remember him shooting a three. But like the size and the skill set and kind of how balanced he is at both ends of the floor was really intriguing to me. So do you have any feedback on that part? And then you can kind of talk about the guys that are intriguing to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, so those are both New England guys, or well, they're both not from New England, but they play in New England, so I'll go with that. But yeah, it was a little tough to evaluate Leo, I feel like in this setting, just because his team got off to such a quick start and they were kind of just dabbling with their role players a little bit and getting everybody involved. But he had some flashes. I think his post playmaking is kind of intriguing. He makes pretty good reads when he gets the ball down low. And I watched him in open gym and just the way he's like moves his body and his footwork inside is pretty impressive. I don't really recall him doing much of that in the game. From what I saw, it was more him diving to the basket and catching lobs and maybe just, laying it in inside. Um, and yeah, with Collins, I mean, kind of touched on him earlier. He's a big dude. He, it'll be interesting to see if he actually develops a shot. He's not really much of a shooter. Like you said, just kind of that, interior part where he can shoot from, but his defense is like his calling card. And that kid can really like, throw a dunk down through contact. He's not going to back down from anybody. Um, for me, I had 2 guys for this. One of them is from this area, Adama Tombedu at Putnam Science. He runs with Rhode Island Elite in the grassroots season. I hadn't really seen too much of him before this. I saw him a little bit in the spring, back at the NERR zero gravity event that we do. And he looked pretty good there. I was kind of questioning his movement, but from more that I've seen, I don't really think that's something worth questioning. He's extremely athletic. He's got a lot of defensive skills to like, and he picked up some high major offers in the open gym season. He just didn't really play that much this weekend, and it could just be due to the fact that Putnam has, they got a lot of guys, and when you got that many guys that are high caliber, it's hard to get everybody involved. So that'll be a name to watch moving forward. The other kid from Linkier, Bond Boom, I believe his name is. The wing that they have, he looked pretty good. Another like really athletic kid. He's got some finishing to him, some touch, and his length on defense to just crowd lanes and pick off passes was pretty impressive. And it looks like there's some versatility there to guard multiple positions. The reporter recruitment I looked at kind of fitted what I was thinking, but he's another player. I think we'll see him back up here in January for Hoop Hall, so I'm looking forward to that. And just kind of keeping tabs on him until then. But those are really the two guys that I had in mind.
All right, man. Last question. A player that you're still kind of holding stock on. For me, this one's a little bit tougher because again, I didn't know a ton of the guys coming into the event, so I'm picking mainly DMV guys here. Again, surprise, surprise. Malachi Marable, originally played at Murray High School, and now he's at Hargrave. Just a big body that is really intrigued, like has an intriguing skill set as far as he can do a lot of different things pretty well. Can rebound the ball, can slide defensively, can play in the paint. Got hurt, I think it was midway through the first game, I want to say. It was the second
It
one.
was uh, it was the second one, yeah. He
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
brutal. You probably saw me cleaning up a lot of blood. Yeah, he got
Yeah,
gashed open pretty good.
he got popped, but does a little bit of everything and can really kind of score in the paint around the basket, just really solid with the basketball. Really interested to see kind of how that this post grad year kind of pans out for him. Favorite Ibe, the big for Mount Zion, like a legit like 7 foot 7'1". Just really raw and kind of still kind of working through his progressions. Interviewed him earlier this year, really liked his answer to a question about like what are some of his goals for the season. He said, "Man, I want to average double digit rebounds, because that means that I'm consistently doing what I'm supposed to do around the basket, especially defensively. I think he has the size and the frame to really do a lot of those things. I think fitting in, figuring out how he fits into Mount Zion's scheme, is kind of still coming along. Conditioning's got much better. And I mean, with all the shooters that they have on the team, sometimes it's hard to get a rebound because they all they're going in. But I think he's gonna get much better as the season progresses and be like a really, really big national prospect to watch. And then Brandon Benjamin, I saw him play twice, and in the first game, you you could tell that he wasn't, excuse me, he wasn't finishing like some of the plays that he normally finishes in. This was against Perkiomen, a game that they ended up winning. He doesn't play some of the, he didn't finish some of the plays that he normally does, but he still finished with 19 points, 10 rebounds, 2 blocks, a steal, and an assist. So just kind of impacting the game across all the different levels on the stat sheet. Good athlete, pretty good size, has a lot of college interest, and it'll be interesting to see kind of which direction his recruitment goes from here. But I think, with his size and kind of skill set as like a 3-4 tweener that really guards and plays hard at both ends of the floor, I think he's gotten more skilled as far as taking guys off the bounce than people realize, and they kind of just attribute that to bad closeouts in the perimeter. But I mean, he can step out and and hit like a mid-range jumper. I think the form looked pretty good on the free throws, but defensively the rotations were much better in their second game, and I think he was. better finishing around the basket that just looks smoother. So I think over the course of the season, he'll be a name that I want to track to kind of see where his development gets to. I think he can be a pretty good low major Division One prospect. Want to see if he has the offensive upside to eventually get beyond that. But he's a guy whose floor, I really like. So what do you have for this last question?
So I had two guys in mind. I'll start with Ryan Mosh, I believe is how you say it. Some people say Mesh. Ryan, you're my guy. I've talked to you a few times. I'm sorry if I messed that up, but um, this kid is tough, man. Have you ever seen him before this?
No, no.
So he runs with Crown, or he had run with Crown. I heard that he had changed AAU teams recently. But he played down in the hoop group stuff down in like Pittsburgh and stuff. This kid is box office. He averaged 37 points last year playing public school basketball. Now he's over at Cushing and he's just continued to that it's all translated into this type of setting. He just didn't really have a good game on Friday. He shot like 5 for 13. But man, like this kid is he's electric. He can get anywhere he wants on the floor with his speed and handle. He can score it from anywhere. He's even got some pop towards the rim, and he's not the biggest guard. He's got a lot of room to like put on some muscle and everything. And he actually, over the course of the past like 6 months or so, he's picked up a lot of offers, a few A10s. So he's a junior. That's a guy that I'm definitely still holding stock on. Not gonna let that one game get to me, and he'll be, if you ever come back up this year to any of our events, definitely try to get some eyes on him.
That's the blonde kid,
Another
right?
guy, yeah,
That's the blonde kid. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Man, his burst is pretty special. And he can really score from the perimeter. So yeah, definitely second that one. I had to look him up to see to confirm
yeah.
that. But yeah, what's the second one you got for me?
I have Josiah Adamson on Cats. He's another guy I've watched for a while now. He didn't really get much burn in their game. Was lopsided from the jump really, and like I kind of touched upon earlier, they kind of threw guys in, and everybody got their reps limitedly for bench guys, but he's a 2027. Honestly, it was probably the best 2027 last year that we saw throughout the winter season, playing public high school basketball over at Catholic Memorial. Another just wicked tough guard that gets physical, just, go right at you. He's got some pop at the rim again, plays above the rim a lot, throws down some big time dunks. Defensively, he'll get right into his man, force some turnovers, and he can really score too. His shooting is it's been a little, hasn't been the greatest thing that I've ever seen, but it's continued to kind of just elevate. So he's still got 3 years left to play, so I'll definitely keep my stock on him and look forward to see where his game goes.
Awesome, man. Well, really appreciate you coming on the podcast today and sharing some information and intel for free with the public as we try to, elevate these young men and kind of give them um some options at the next level that fit them. Really appreciate the time, man, and look forward to keeping in touch.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. It was cool to have, you got the DMV, I got New England, kind of blend that together and share what we got. So it's pretty good.
Man, we'll have to work on getting some of your guys to come down here next year. I'm not sure if I'm trying to make that bus ride again. All right, brother. Take care.
You too, man.